educational series. We're very excited tonight to present you with more information on the latest on diabetes device technology. Each speaker will have approximately 7 minutes to discuss their device, and then we will open up this session to your questions. Please feel free to pop them in the chat as we go, and we will get to them at the end. And just a reminder again, if you can, please mute yourself so that we can make sure that we hear our speakers tonight. This education series offers information on a new topic every month. This is our final event of 2022, and we'll have a full slate of events next year in 2023. If this is your first time, welcome. And if this is, you've been here before, welcome back. JDRF is a global leader in working towards an end to type 1 diabetes through both research, funding, and advocacy. JDRF also supports people and families in the T1D community from the time of diagnosis by helping those living with T1D to have better, healthier, and safer lives while we work towards finding a cure. So again, we're very excited tonight to be speaking about diabetes technology. We're going to be having speakers from Abbott, Dexcom, Insulet, and Tandem. They'll be presenting alphabetically. Our first presenter is Natalie Rattazzi, a diabetes sales specialist at Abbott. She'll be followed by Puravina Puramathisam, RD, CDE, CBE, CPT, Senior Patient Care Specialist at Dexcom. She will be followed by Jessica Drummond, RD, CDE, Clinical Sales Specialist for Toronto at Insulet, and then Matt Kane, Senior Territory Manager at Tandem. So I think we'll get started with Natalie.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. As Ruth said, my name is Natalie. I'm a diabetes sales specialist here at Abbott. And this evening, I will be talking to you about the FreeStyle Libre 2 flash glucose monitoring system. So the indication for FreeStyle Libre 2 is it's indicated for measuring interstitial fluid glucose levels in people aged 4 years and older with diabetes. This system is designed to replace blood glucose testing in your self-management of diabetes, including dosing of insulin. Your treatment decisions should be based on real-time sensor glucose readings and other information on the results screen, including trend arrows and recent readings on the glucose graph, which we'll go over in a few minutes. The system also detects trends and tracks patterns and helps in the detection of episodes of hyper and hypoglycemia, facilitating both acute and long-term therapy adjustments. My goal for today is for you to feel confident with the FreeStyle Libre 2 system and to answer any of your questions at the end. So first, we will try to understand the difference between blood glucose and sensor glucose. A blood glucose monitor, which I'm sure most of you are very familiar with, measures your blood glucose. And the FreeStyle Libre 2 system sensor measures interstitial fluid glucose. Comparing your blood glucose reading to a scan is comparing apples to oranges, two very different measurements. How does this sensor work? When you apply the FreeStyle Libre 2 sensor, a thin filament, which is similar to like a single toothbrush bristle, is inserted under your skin and measures your glucose levels. The sensor measures the glucose levels in the interstitial fluid, which is a fluid that surrounds the cells beneath your skin instead of blood glucose. You need to remember that it can take a few minutes for the glucose to move from the blood to the fluid. The blood glucose reading tends to be about 2 minutes ahead of sensor readings. Your trend arrow, which I'll go more into detail in a few minutes, will tell you what direction your glucose is going towards. And for most treatment decisions, sensor readings from the FreeStyle Libre 2 system can replace routine finger prick tests. This example of a train shows the lag between glucose and sensor glucose, the red being the blood glucose and the blue being the sensor glucose. So when your glucose level is stable, the sensor reading and blood glucose readings are similar, not the same, but similar. When the glucose level is trending up, the sensor reading may be lower than blood glucose. And when the glucose is trending down, you'll see the same thing. Tips to remember. It's normal if your sensor reading are different than your blood glucose readings in certain situations like meals, insulin, or exercise. And for most treatment decisions, sensor readings from the FreeStyle Libre 2 system can replace routine finger prick tests. The FreeStyle Libre 2 system is a painless 1-second scan, very easy to use, shows a current glucose reading, a trend arrow, and an 8-hour history. The small sensor is easy to apply and comfortable to wear for up to 14 days. You can scan right through your clothes. It lets you know the minute your glucose is too low or too high with optional real-time alarms. You get an alarm, you scan, and you act accordingly. For most treatment decisions, sensor readings from the FreeStyle Libre 2 system can replace routine finger prick tests. And FreeStyle Libre 2 is clinically proven to reduce A1C and type 2 diabetes. Applying the FreeStyle Libre 2 sensor can be done very easily in 4 steps. First, you want to select a site on the back of your upper arm, avoiding any scars, moles, or lumps. Wash the area and then make sure it's dry. Use the alcohol wipe, which is included in the package, to disinfect the skin and allow the area to air dry before proceeding. Peel open the lid on the sensor pack, unscrew the cap from the sensor applicator. Line up the 2 dark marks on the sensor applicator and the sensor pack. On a hard, flat surface, such as a table or a desk, press down firmly on the sensor applicator until it comes to a stop or a click. Then lift to remove it from the sensor pack. Proper application of your sensor will ensure glucose is properly measured. Lastly, apply the sensor by placing the applicator over the clean site and pressing down firmly until the sensor is in place. Gently pull the sensor applicator away from your arm and check that it's secure. How to scan your sensor. Open your app that you've downloaded or turn on the reader. A note that the sensor can be paired only with one device. Choose whether you'll be using the app or the reader. After you've downloaded the app and filled in your personal information, such as your name and your email, tap the button, Scan New Sensor, scan your sensor, and your sensor will be ready to scan in 1 hour. You'll have a countdown on your home screen to let you know when you can do your first scan. The more you scan, the more you'll know about your glucose levels. People who scan more frequently will have improved control. Tips on how to scan your device. Hold your phone or reader within 4 centimeters of your sensor to scan right through your clothes. Scan at least once every 8 hours to avoid a gap in your graph, in your daily graph. An important note is that FreeStyle Libre 2 measures your glucose every minute. So in a 24-hour period, you get 1,440 readings. Key times to scan: before and after meals or snacks, before sleep and after waking, before and after exercise, and when you feel symptoms of low glucose.
And this is, you just have about 2 minutes left. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
No, I appreciate it. I'll talk really fast. Understanding your scan. There's 4 key things you want to look at. Your current glucose reading, which provides you with an accurate glucose reading, a trend arrow, which shows you which direction your glucose is heading, the graph, 8-hour history, and the message tells you if your glucose is out of range. I'll skip through these because I'm low on time, but this is what I just went through, the 4 messages that you get. And then this is also important. The high and low glucose alarm levels are displayed as dashed lines on the glucose graph on your home screen. Red dashed line shows your low glucose alarm level, and orange is your high glucose alarm level. When you get an alarm, you automatically receive the alarm when your glucose is too high or too low. You scan your FreeStyle Libre 2 sensor to see your reading, and you act accordingly. I'll skip over this one. And this is my last slide, by the way. So here at Abbott, we have digital health tools that work together for seamless diabetes management. We have the app, which we just talked about. We have LibreView, which shares glucose readings with your healthcare team for more effective consultations. And we have Libre LinkUp. Family or caregivers can remotely monitor glucose readings and receive alarm notifications. If you have a piece of paper, write down this customer service phone number. We're available 7 days a week. And this is a great website for fantastic resources. myfreestyle.ca for the FreeStyle Libre 2 information, and I can answer all your questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Natalie. Next up, we have Puravina from Dexcom.
Perfect. I'll just go right ahead and share. Are you able to see my screen?
We can.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Excellent. So, hi, thank you for joining today, everyone. My name is Puravina, and I work as a senior patient care specialist and on the Dexcom care team. So, the Dexcom system really wants to put that power of glucose monitoring and diabetes management in your hands. You want to make sure that you have this technology that allows you to take action by knowing where you're heading, being able to be in control and in range while feeling your best living with diabetes. So, with a blood glucose meter, you can only get a blood glucose reading at a single point in time, and it was very nicely explained by Natalie. And the thing with the Dexcom CGM is that you don't need to do any finger prick testing, and you'll get a glucose value as well as a trend arrow. So it's showing you the direction and the speed at which your glucose level is headed. So this information is especially important if you're dosing insulin, and if you're doing your day-to-day activities, and if you're also preparing to do any type of exercise. So now let's take a look at the Dexcom G6 components. So first off, we have the sensor applicator. This auto applicator is used to insert the sensor beneath the skin, and a sensor wire will be inserted under your skin, and this sensor measures the glucose levels up to 10 days. Then we have the transmitter, which is a gray oval piece, and this is the brain of the system, and it gets affixed to the top of the sensor, as you can see here. It sends data wirelessly via Bluetooth to a display device, and the display device can be either your phone along with a watch or a Dexcom receiver, and you'll need to be within 6 meters to see those results. When it comes to CGM, research has shown that independent from a pump can improve diabetes outcomes. The good thing about Dexcom is that it can be used for people using insulin injections or pump therapy. And with new technological advancements, we have this tool that works with pump technology like the Tandem Control IQ, as you can see here. And now, when it comes to the display of the Dexcom G6 app, you'll get a lot of information that shows up. So the Dexcom G6 shows you your readings at every 5-minute intervals without the need to scan. And what you'll be seeing is that current glucose value that's shown here. If you're within your target, it will show up in gray. If you're above your target, it will be in yellow, or if it's below, in red. Along with it, you have our trend arrow. And then at the bottom, you have a graph that shows you your current glucose reading as well as the previous readings within your high or low glucose alert level. So you have access to this information at any time on your phone. Dexcom's real power comes from its integrated alerts, and this changes everything. So this allows you to take control of preventing lows and highs, and it helps you stay within your sweet spot, as Max Domi would say, so you don't go too low or too high, and you'll be in that driver's seat to set these alerts along with the recommendations of your healthcare professional. All these alerts are customizable and will notify you during the day if there's any variation with your blood glucose readings. Then next up, we have the Urgent Low Soon alert, which is one of our users' most favorite feature because it sounds when you'll be at 3.1 in less than 20 minutes. And this is a predictive alert that's like your safety net and can give you a heads up to treat before you hit a low. Lastly, we have one alarm that is built in as a safety feature, and this is the urgent low alarm. It lets you know when your sensor glucose is at or below 3.1 millimoles per liter. So now we've taken a look at the Dexcom G6 app. I also want to let you know of the Dexcom Clarity app, which provides you with information about how well you're doing. You can see patterns and many different reports, and gives you the tools to have an empowering conversation with your doctor and your team at your next visit. And it also allows you to share data with your clinic by the cloud. And we also have the Dexcom Follow app, which allows you to share your data in real time with family or caregivers. And we'll take a look into this. Here, this is the Rangu family, and we have Andrew, who's very dedicated to karate, and he loves participating in martial arts competitions. And his family is monitoring his glucose readings with the Dexcom Follow app during practices and tournaments. And this allows parents and guardians to have that peace of mind when their child is performing activities that they love, whether it be sports, games, participating in sleepovers, attending diabetes camp, etc. And this feature is great not only for pediatric or adult users, but also adult users. And I can tell you for a fact, in my job, I've heard of a lady that lives at an old age home that is using the Dexcom, and her daughter follows her all the way from California, making sure that she's doing well and staying healthy. Now, for the latest follow-up updates, we can get alerts on the watch itself, and on the Android phone, we can also receive banners that let you know how the person you're following is doing with the glucose reading as well as the trend arrow. And let's not forget the Hey Siri shortcut on the Apple devices. This is great, especially when you're on the go or you need to be hands-free. You simply ask, "Hey Siri, what's my glucose?" And you get to hear your current reading, how your glucose is trending, and you can also quickly glance at your trend graph. So when it comes to the Dexcom CGM, there's many clinical benefits, and this will absolutely change how you manage and live with diabetes. And this allows for less work for greater outcomes, such as reduction in A1C, reduction in hypoglycemia, and increased time in range. So the Dexcom can help you feel your best even while you're living with diabetes. So why use the Dexcom? Many real-life benefits. As we've mentioned, there's no routine finger pokes or scanning. Real-time information can be seen at a glance. It's convenient. Greater confidence. It gives you that peace of mind, not only for you, but also people that are in your care team. And you get warnings in advance to prevent lows as well as highs. I also invite you to watch the Dexcom Warrior videos on our YouTube and a website that looks at the life stories of people living with diabetes. It's truly inspirational and uplifting. Now, if you want to get some support, we're always here to help. You can call directly to 1-844-832-1810. There's customer service that's available during the week, technical support that's available 24/7, and the team I'm on, Dexcom Care, we provide product training and education, and we also offer webinars to get started. Now, for coverage, Dexcom is covered by many provincial health programs and most private insurance. If you need help to get started, we can help you out. You just simply need to call the same number and dial option 2, and someone from our insurance support team will be available for you. Whether it's for feeling safe or feeling comfortable while doing the things you love, the Dexcom gives you the power to live life to the fullest. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Piravina. Next up, we have Jessica from Insulet to speak about the Omnipod.
Wonderful. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, how's that looking? Can everybody see it?
We can.
Wonderful. Thanks, guys. So I'm very excited to have 7 minutes to talk to you tonight about Omnipod. So I actually wanted to start off with a video. So I'm going to just click over to the next slide here. This is Caleb Dahlgren, and he was actually just in one of Piravina's slides. He was the guy with the Superman shirt coming out underneath. He was obviously in some type of Halloween costume. But he has a very unique story. If you don't know Caleb, he was actually one of the hockey players involved in the Humboldt Broncos crash. And he's written a book about it. The name of that book is My Story of Tragedy and Resilience as a Humboldt Bronco. He talks about his diabetes journey in that book as well, so I would highly recommend. But I just wanted to share a little bit about what Omnipod means to Caleb, and then I will be happy to share a little bit more of the technology behind it as well. Oh, it looks like someone took over the screen for me. I have to restart this video here. There we go. All right, thank you to whoever shared the link there in that chat for Caleb's story. So obviously in the video, you see him wearing the pod, and I want to talk a little bit more about the technology and what the pod actually is. So there's really only two different parts to the Omnipod insulin pump. There is the PDM, aka Personal Diabetes Manager. You can see it kind of looks like a cell phone. It is currently not an app. It's its own standalone device. It is a little bit smaller than a cell phone, so easily can fit into your pocket. And then the PDM is communicating to the pod via Bluetooth. So the pod is the only thing that's on your body. It is a little bit bigger than a sensor like Dexcom or Libre, because it is holding insulin. I can kind of show you against my arm here if you guys can see my video. So it's a little larger, and we can place it on our body and wear it for 3 days of nonstop insulin delivery. And whenever we want to take insulin, we pick up our PDM and we can deliver all of our insulin through that. So the PDM, again, it's basically a locked down Android device. So it's really user-friendly and intuitive because most of us know how to use cell phones. One feature that I really like is it now has a pod site tracker, which is really wonderful for keeping track of where you're wearing your sites, making sure that you're not overusing your sites and that it's getting adequate rotation so that insulin is absorbing really well. So you can make sure you have good site rotation there. And then, of course, it has programmable basal rates in the background for your background insulin. You can set fractional carb ratios for really teeny tiny doses of insulin if that's something that you need as well. And it is actually, I should say, it is battery rechargeable. So you would charge it up just like a cell phone. We do recommend charging it up every 24 hours. It will last a little bit longer than that, but we do ideally recommend that you charge it up every night just so that it's always pressed for a charge. And then I'm going to flip it over here to what I think is the actual brains of the operation. And I'm always impressed with the technology that goes into this teeny tiny pod. So obviously what makes Insulet and the Omnipod really unique is that it's a tubeless insulin pump. So there's no tubing you have to deal with at all. And Insulet was actually founded by a guy. He was luckily a medical engineer. His son was diagnosed with type 1 at the age of 3. And he was looking around at all the other pumps going, I don't know how my 3-year-old is going to get by with wearing a tube pump. And again, lucky for him, he was a medical engineer, so he got to work making Omnipod, and now we have the tubeless system. So that's the biggest benefit of having Omnipod, is simplifying diabetes management, having a little bit more freedom and not feeling quite as tethered as a traditional insulin pump. So it is Bluetooth enabled. A really cool thing about the pod as well is that it has an auto cannula insertion. So essentially all you have to do is slap it on wherever you want to put it, and you can put a pod anywhere you inject insulin. The sites are very flexible. And then you press start on your PDM, and automatically the little cannula is going to be inserted under your skin, and it happens quickly in 1/200th of a second, so you barely feel it at all. And that's something that's really unique as well. It typically leads to a little bit less pinking and things like that when you're not having to use an additional device to put it in. And then, of course, the pod is also waterproof, so you can wear it for up to 3 days, in and out of the shower, in and out of the lake, or dreaming of the ocean. I am. So in and out of the ocean as well. And again, it's not going to have an issue in the water at all. And every 3 days, you would fill a new pod with insulin and change it out. The pod also does hold up to 200 units of insulin. I should mention that as well. Currently, the product we have is the Omnipod Dash, and right now it's not integrated with any specific blood glucose monitoring device. So whether you're using FreeStyle Libre, Libre 2, Dexcom, or doing finger pricks, the pump is right now working independently of that. So you can still use a pump that's tubeless, that can get you a little bit better control. That's not currently integrated right now. So whatever blood glucose monitoring you're doing, it can always be paired with Omnipod. I did want to mention our Cut the Cord program very quickly. For those of you on the call who are on a tube pump, we actually offer this Cut the Cord program. Basically, you purchase 1 box of pods and you can try out Omnipod for free. It's a wonderful time to do that, especially if you have vacation coming over the winter. Just be tubeless for that. So again, if you do have a tube pump and you're within your warranty, you can try out the Cut the Cord program. And you basically get a PDM for free, and you're able to see what it feels like to be tubeless. And lastly, you can request a free pod experience kit, and you can find a lot more information about Omnipod on our website as well. So it's just omnipod.com. There's a place where you can try out a demo pod. And so it's basically a pod that doesn't have any cannula sticking out of it. But it's a really great option just to see what it feels like to wear the pod for 3 days. What does it feel like to shower with it? What does it feel like to sleep with it on? So you can do that online, again, at omnipod.com. And then we also have our Pod 101 info nights on our website as well that you can sign up for. So if you're curious about learning a little bit more about Omnipod in a full hour discussion, we also bring someone who's living with type 1 diabetes and is wearing Omnipod always onto those calls as well. So you can learn what their day-to-day life is like on the pod. And of course, day or night, you can call us at our customer care line as well. So absolutely take down these numbers if you're curious about learning a little bit more about Omnipod.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank
Jessica. And we will now have Matt from Tandem to speak with us about their product.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm just gonna share my screen. I think Jessica is still sharing. If you stop sharing, I'm gonna.
And Jessica, we still have your.
Yes. Do I have to stop my share? Oh, there it is.
Yes, yeah.
Got it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, let me find mine. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna. Oops. Can you guys see my presentation?
And now we're seeing the calendar invite.
Oops.
Yeah. So we just need to, you want to just stop sharing for a minute and then
Yes.
start again once you've got the presentation?
Yes, give me a second here.
Someone needs to mute their mic before Matt starts speaking. All right, Matt, we're still seeing your calendar presentation.
Yes, give me 1 second here.
Okay.
Can you see the screen?
We can. You just need to set it to slideshow mode. There we go.
Okay.
Here we
Okay,
go.
so good evening, everyone. My name is Ahmad Kane. I'm one of the senior territory manager in Quebec, but I will present today for you. I was on the previous presentation in French, so if you do have any question, obviously in 7 minutes, it's very short to explain to you what the Tandem insulin pump device is. So you can give me a call on this number that you see on the screen or at the customer service number 24/7. Someone will be able to assist you and direct your question to the proper territory manager wherever you are in Canada. So the Tandem insulin pump basically is a very unique device right now. It's a very popular system. It's one of the automated insulin delivery system available in Canada. It's not just an insulin pump. It's more than that. It's also an automated insulin delivery. It's called an artificial pancreas. So this system basically is what we call an advanced hybrid closed loop. So I will explain to you what it is. So basically, just let's go back to the basic. When we start designing this pump, it was based on 6,000 interview we did for a unique design strategy to make sure that we answer all the needs on the market. So people wanted to have smaller insulin pumps, touch screen, rechargeable, and more importantly, a device that you can update based on the new technology coming. So if you're wearing the Tandem pump, you can update it to the next generation system without having to change the pump. It's a very small pump. So you can see it's very easy to use. It's all touch screen. You can just actually just touch the screen and enter whatever you want to enter. We do have two technology on the market. One is called the basal IQ. It was our previous algorithm we were using into the pump that predicts and help prevent lows. And the newer technology now we have on the market, which is a control IQ technology. The difference is the basal IQ is just a normal insulin pump that you put your basal program and it will just automatically give you the basal that's programmed. So if you have, and it's integrated with the Dexcom G6 system. So when it's predicted to be low, the pump will actually just to stop the basal until actually your blood sugars rise, and then they will continue to deliver the insulin. As per the Control IQ, it's an automated insulin that independently and automatically adjusts basal based on the prediction of the blood glucose. So the pump is always fun to see that with the tandem pump, you can update your pump. So when we had the patient on the basal IQ, as soon as Health Canada approved the Control IQ, people were able to update the very same pump without having to pay extra fees and move to the next generation pump, which is the Control IQ. So the features you want to have in a very modern pump, color screen, rechargeable. It's a durable housing, small size, and also it's a remote software update. So if you look at the basal IQ, what I was saying was the prediction of the low blood glucose. It predicts the lows in the next 30 minutes. So if your blood sugar is predicted to be below 3.9, the pump will just suspend the insulin. And when the blood glucose actually rise, it will automatically resume the delivery of the insulin. Basal IQ actually, in our study, in the clinical study, you have seen that the basal IQ, you don't have to test your blood sugar. You just use the Dexcom, which is zero finger stick required. And also, it basically, there was 30% less time in lows using basal IQ. So if you know that actually 1% is 15 minutes you spend in hypoglycemia, so it's very significant when people were moving from just a basic insulin pump to basal IQ. Then we move to the new technology that a lot of people are switching to, which is the Control IQ, which is our advanced hybrid closed-loop system. So you can see here on this chart that if your basal program, if the pump is programmed with a basal, and then the Dexcom prediction of the blood glucose in the next 30 minutes is between 6.25 to 8.9, the pump continues to maintain the active basal profile. Then if the basal is predicted to be between 8.9 and 10 millimole, then the pump starts increasing the basal automatically without you having to do nothing. All that to keep you in range. And in case actually that increase is not enough and the pump continues to predict that your blood sugar will be higher than 10, then the pump will calculate with the correction factor a bolus with a target of 6.1 and deliver a bolus automatically. This is huge, actually. This is the only insulin pump right now on the market that does this this way. And then on the low end, when the pump predicts that the blood glucose will be below 6.25 to 3.9, the pump starts reducing the basal. And if it predicts to be below 3.9, it will stop the basal. So think about this. When you have actually a child who's sleeping, and during the sleep, the blood glucose predicted to be 3.9, the pump will stop the basal. He's not going to have to wake up through alarms or take a juice to get back up. So when he wakes up, he's still going to be actually in range, and the pump actually would have those red lines that shows that the pump has stopped the insulin during the sleep. And then the duration and the length of time it will stop the basal will just be determined by actually how long the prediction was and how fast it was going down. So it's very important that if you look at the Control IQ, when we switch from normal insulin pump to Control IQ and it was a therapy, you can see here clearly that there was 2.6 hours increase in time in range. Control IQ technology is approved for 6 and up, obviously, but children under 6 actually with the prescription of their doctor also use the pump. The clinical study has shows that the children using the pump 80% more overnight time in range. So it's very significant when they switch to Control IQ. It's a very easy pump to use with the Dexcom G6. Obviously, with Dexcom technology, every time there is a new Dexcom, we do have a software update, and it's always compatible with Dexcom. So the challenge of rapid innovation, I spoke about that. So basically, you can see exactly all these pumps we have in a very short period of time. This is due to the fact that with the tandem pump, you can do a software update and move from one technology to another one. So you can become part of the tandem family. So when you purchase an insulin pump, you become a part of our insulin, part of our family, and take care of you, likely family. We offer local support. We have 24-hour service support. We do have 30-day return policy, but it's now 90 days that you can have. If you purchase the pump, you can return it within the 90 days, no question asked. But most of the people stay on the pump because they want that flexibility to stay, do what they do, and the pump continue to automate insulin delivery. You can also download the app. It's a virtual app. It's called T Simulator app, and it will virtually allow you to basically just play with the pump, see what it looks like, see the programming, and see if you do like the system. Right. So our customer service team, what customers are saying about the software update is it's cool. You can see here, they just plug the pump within 5 minutes. They have a new pump and all that. So, and if you do have any question, I'll be around to answer them. If not, you can send me an email or call our customer service team. They will answer your question or direct you to the proper rep to help you with understanding better the insulin delivery, automated insulin delivery system with stand-up. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amat. Natalie, we had a couple of questions from the beginning, and Amat, you can stop sharing your screen now because we can see ourselves. Thank you. So Layla had a couple of questions, Natalie. She just wanted to know if the Libre 2 works with the pumps and how many people can be added to the FreeStyle app to share data.
So no, it does not work with a pump, and up to 20 people.
And just one other question, can you wear it anywhere else other than on the back of your arm?
So that's the only site that's been approved.
And I can see that Ravina was going through and answering a lot of questions. Like, just thought like there were a few questions coming in about Health Canada. Unfortunately, none of us are able to answer those questions. The only thing that I can tell you is that as soon as we learn that something has been approved, JDRF does share it on our social media, and that's with any of the device companies, but we learn at the same time as everybody else does.
Thank you.
So, yeah, so I'm sorry, we can't answer any of those questions. And again, any questions that you might have about coverage, we have a coverage map on the JDRF website, which I'll pop into the chat. We also can't really address those only because it differs by province, and this is a national call. But I will put that link in the chat so that you can all see it before we go. There was a question, Piravina, that I think perhaps you didn't see, just about what the alert status looks like on the Dexcom.
So when the alerts come through the app and the receiver, there is a nice chapter in our user guide that shows you what the different screens will look like. This is in chapter 4. And if it's on a phone app, there will be a banner that shows up on the screen. And then once you enter into the app itself, the message pops up showing you what type of alert or alarm there is, and you just need to confirm saying that you acknowledged it. Similarly, the same happens when you're using the receiver.
Thank you. And another question just came through asking if the applicator can be recycled.
Good question. So in terms of disposing the applicator, you would need to consult with your local guidelines. So speaking to the pharmacist would be the first person to ask the question.
Okay. Just a whole bunch of questions have just come in all at once. So let me just scroll back to see if I can answer some of them now. Okay. Pardon me, sorry. This is a question, Natalie. Is the company working towards getting the next generation of Libre sensors to be able to communicate with any of the pump systems?
I can't really comment on the next generation. I think we'll all find out at the same time.
And the question is, tandem working for tubing. I'm not sure what that question. I think maybe they mean tubeless is if Tandem is working on a tubeless.
Yes, that was the question, I'm assuming. So I can tell you that there's a lot of innovation we're working on, but obviously we cannot comment on a non-approved device in Canada. So obviously our dream is, your dream is our dream. So we're working on different kind of technology.
Layla, I'm assuming this question maybe is for Jessica Animat. Her daughter studies in the US. She just wants to know if the pumps can toggle between Canadian and US values.
No, unfortunately, if you do have a Canadian pump, because it's approved in millimole in Canada, you cannot change it to milligram per deciliter in the US. So obviously, if he's in the US, she's going to have to continue to use the Canadian pump, unless he's living there, and then we can work together to see if she wants to switch on an American pump. But I'm not sure if she would want to do that.
And mine is the same answer for that one. Health Canada can only approve them in millimoles, and so it wouldn't be able to be transferred from one to the other as well.
Exactly.
Natalie Dan wants to know if an Apple Watch can be paired with the Libre.
They'll get a notification, but they can't see their readings. So if they have an alarm, they'll get something on their Apple Watch.
And Matt, can the blood sugar limits be changed on the Tandem?
Say that again.
Can the blood sugar limits be changed on the Tandem?
Oh yes, you can change the limit of. Oh, you mean actually the alarm where you want to set the highs and the lows?
Yes, yes.
Yes, you can change it on your alarm, but actually how the pump is the adjustment values of the pump cannot be changed. The algorithm is working like that, but you can use different features actually to have different type of adjustment, whether it's an exercise or sleep.
Yeah, I just have trouble with my Medtronic. I have to set my alarm limits higher, or it drops me low through the night. So I've been getting quite annoyed with it over the last year. So I'm kind of interested in Tandem.
Yeah, one of the things you can do is Tandem is basically actually have a different basal profile. So you can still work on your basal profile to reduce it, and Control IQ will always work on the basal profile that's active.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple of questions about the pump systems and winter and cold temperatures and how they adapt as we come into, or we already are in a lot of parts of the country in the very cold weather.
Jessica, you want to take that one, or you want me to?
Yeah, I will. I can start with Omnipod. So the pod itself is usually completely fine in the winter. Generally, it's near your body heat and you're wearing some things on top as you're going outside. So, you know, my brother skis all winter in, you know, -30 weather with his pod and never any issues. So not to worry about that. And then in terms of the PDM, you don't have to have the PDM with you all the time. So for example, if you were just going out for a walk, you wouldn't even need to bring it with you. Your basal rates are always just coming from your pod. And so I would, you know, keep it in a pocket potentially or something if you're outside, but generally the cold weather is not going to do much to it.
And it's basically similar with the Tandem pump. So basically all insulin pumps, they're fine with the winter. What we worry about is the insulin. We don't want to freeze our insulin. So basically, if you do have the pump closer to your body in your pocket, or usually you are fine. The Tandem pump has what we call the temperature alarm. So if it's cold enough to the point where your insulin actually is freezing, the pump will have a temperature alarm to tell you that. So you can just warm it up, or actually go in a room, or put it more closer to your body temperature, and you'll be fine.
There's another question for you, Matt. Julie wants to know if there are any plans to make activity mode a programmable feature in the future. She's a young child that constantly forgets to activate this mode when he's at
yes,
school.
And actually, you are not the only one who have asked that to happen. I am sure that we are working in a different software update that actually will take consideration of those requests, but it's not approved, it's not available yet, but it's one of our top priority to make that possible. Because you can do it with sleep, but you cannot do it with exercise. So I'm sure in the future, yes.
And I see that there's a couple of hands up as well. I wouldn't be able to see just because we have so many people, but I think Madyan, do you have a question? Can see that you're on mute, so I'm not sure if you meant to put your hand up.
Yes, my son, he's 8 years old and he used the Omnipod. Just a question, I see that when I give him the bolus, it's take a long time to be done in his body. So I don't know what's the problem. Is the situation of the pod or something different? I don't know. So this is my question.
Okay. Yes, I think I can answer that. Can I ask for one point of clarification first? Is it taking a long time to bolus, or is it taking a long time if you're looking at the insulin action time or the insulin on board time after he's bolus?
I mean, when I give him the bolus, like for example, 5 units of insulin. So it's take like maybe 2 hours to be done. So, and it's not affect directly his body.
Yeah. So the bolus actually delivers quite quickly. And this is something that all pumps keep track of. So the bolus will deliver 1 unit every 40 seconds with Omnipod. So 5 units would take about 2.5 minutes to get through your system. And then what you're seeing on the screen after that is how much insulin is still on board. And this is just related to the action time of rapid acting insulin. So when we take rapid acting insulin, it starts working in about 4 to 10 minutes. And then its peak action is about 1.5 to 2 hours later. And then by 4 hours, it's out of our system. So the Omnipod is keeping track of how much insulin is still in his system from that last bolus, but the bolus was delivered up front within the 2 minutes. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes, thank you. Just a small question, please, if you don't mind. He just put the pods on his legs, so he refused to put it in his belly. So is that cause any problem in the future on his legs or like?
Yeah, it is always ideal, whether you're taking injections or wearing any type of pump, to have different sites in order to put insulin in. Over time, what can happen is these sites get saturated and they might get some scar tissue buildup, and then our insulin is not absorbing as well anymore. So I would recommend, if we could, and we can also take this offline, and I would be happy to chat with you about some alternative sites he could potentially try that he would be comfortable with. Ideally, you want the site to be at least 2 fingers away from the last one. So with a pod, that even could just mean rotating it from it being this way to this way, and there you have a new site. So just make sure you're watching out for different things, and we can see if we can find a new site for him to rotate to.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. We only have about 4 minutes left in the meeting, and I know I can see that there are some hands up, but I think at this point, it's probably running too late for me to take all of them. I'm going to try to answer a couple more questions in the chat. We are sending out the contact information for all of the companies who were on the call tonight in the email that we're going to send you tomorrow. That will also have a recording of this meeting. So please save your questions for the customer care reps, and I know that every single one of the companies represented on this call tonight will be more than happy to help answer them at that point as well. I'm just going to see really quickly, Piravina, where is the best recommended place to put the Dexcom?
So it depends on the different age groups. So for our pediatric clients between ages 2 to 17, they can wear it on the abdomen or the upper buttocks, versus for adults aged 18 and over, it would be the abdomen or the back of the upper arm. And this can also be found on our website FAQs as well.
And just a quick question for a match. Does Tandem have any sort of sample to try like Omnipod does?
We do not have an actual pump you can try. Obviously, the only thing we can offer is actually if you buy the pump and then you wear the pump, if you don't like it, we always actually offer the return policy. You can return it in the next 90 days. But if you want to try an infusion set, yes, we can send you an infusion set to try on your body. But the actual current pump, we don't send it out because these are $7,000 device, and then just to mail it for someone to just wear it without using it and insulin is not a good use of the pump. So we can send you an infusion set to try.
So I want to thank everybody so much for attending tonight. We had a very big crowd and we got through a lot of dense information in a very short period of time. So hopefully you'll take some time to check out the presentation again tomorrow and send any follow-up questions that you might have. I really, really want to thank particularly Matt and Piravina, who've been doing this for 2 hours in a row in English and French, and Natalie and Jessica for giving up their evenings to help us bring this really important information to you tonight. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us. Thank you again so much to Abbott, Dexcom, Insulet, and Tandem. And we hope that you enjoyed tonight and that you learned a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.